Going through some old footage I have, the other day, I came across a short sequence of film that I took when I did my flying scholarship in 1985 at Humberside Airport, using the clockwork Soviet era cine camera that I inherited from my grandfather. I thought it would be nice to relive those days a little bit in Explain. To set the scene, I'll just play the little clip that I have, which is a film of my flying instructor and the other students on the course. And that dashing chap standing on the wing of the Stingsby vFly with a full head of hair is me, believe it or not, when I was 18. I would have blurred out the faces, only the quality of the video has done that for me. I recall that that is a engine failure on takeoff drill. Nice landing. Not a lot of footage, but it does bring back a lot of happy memories. In a dusty box in the loft, I even found my old Cessna 150 checklist. So where better to begin than the first thing you learn, the pre-flight. Here's the checklist, looking a bit worse for wear. If I just go first to the external. So, in the cabin, brakes on. I remove the control locks. Now this vFlyteAir Cessna 150 doesn't have control locks. If I just take the yoke away for a second, you can see the brakes on. So I put the master switch to on. Take that away again. Okay, and then we're going to get outside and check to make sure that the beacon is flashing. Make sure the beacon is on. Yeah, the strobe is on. Open the door. It is, isn't it? Just flashing. Should probably have done this in the dark. Never mind. Right, let's get back in the cockpit. So check the beacon. Turn the pitot heat on. Pitot heat is on. And then we're going to turn the switches off. Oh, hang on. No, we're going to put the flaps down before we do that. So you can see the flaps on the indicator on the left here. This is actually the vFlyteAir model for X-Plane 11, because I haven't got round to buying the one for X-Plane 12 yet, so it'll be interesting to see. The walk round facility on the X-Plane 11 model doesn't work particularly well in X-Plane 12, I would say. I guess that's because something has changed. So, bear with me. So we're going to have a look at the port undercarriage leg, check the disc brakes, which I can't do. Let's just go back in the cockpit a moment and shut the door. Go down, get the checklist out, and go to wheel pads off, and then close, and do that. Now, on the real thing, you have a little marking painted on the inner rim and a dot on the outer rim as well, and you're supposed to get them to line up. I can't see this model's got one of those, so we'll just have to take it on trust that no one's crashed this aeroplane or landed it too hard. There's no obvious signs of damage or creep, so that's okay. Then we're going to look at the port strut, which is this here. Let's just shut the door. So just looking for damage on the port strut. The port strut looks okay. So if we then go back a bit and examine the flap, that looks alright, doesn't it? We would wiggle that in the real world just to make sure that the linkages work and so on. And then we're going to have a look at the port aileron. Now this I can exercise using the yoke, so and then you examine the wingtip, make sure that the red light looks okay, and it does. Port wingtip, yep. Leading edge, check for damage. So the port leading edge looks okay. You would check the stall warner there. Check the leading edge, we check the stall warner, which is there. We check the state of the pitot tube, and if the cover's on, we would take the cover off. And we would also climb up and just check to make sure that the tank vent is clear. And examine the top of the wing just to make sure everything's looking alright. Okay, and then you walk round front of the aeroplane and you check in here to make sure there's no obvious sign of damage and there's no, detritus stuck in there. We come to this side. We would if we could, but we can't. Check the oil level by opening that panel there. And we would climb up onto the wing and check the fuel that is just there. So now we're onto the leading edge of the, actually we missed the nose wheel out, didn't we? So we check the nose wheel, we'll give that a good shove to make sure that there's nothing loose. I check for rust and so on. We've checked the cowling, we've checked the propeller, and we've checked the starboard cowling, and we've done the oil check. And then we move to the leading edge of the starboard wing. Again, we're checking for any damage, which looks okay to me. And then we go round here. We're checking if we've got a green light. We've got no damage on the wingtip, and we're checking the strut and the undercarriage just to make sure that's okay as well. Same comment about the missing paint there. I'll check the starboard aileron. Function and security looks okay. then we would examine the fuselage. One thing to look out for around here, sorry, is wrinkling underneath the aircraft, because the wheels are just strapped to the outside of the fuselage. If you land very heavily, you get wrinkling on the underside of the fuselage, which is a sure sign the aircraft hasn't had a happy life. Only ever encountered one aircraft like that. Right, now we're going to examine the tailplane. So we will check that the rudder is working and that the elevators are functioning. Okay, examine the port, fuselage, and then we would climb back in the plane. Okay. Now we're into the internal checks. So, seat adjusted, yes, and harness is on, yes it is. Brake is on. First aid kit in place. Fire extinguisher in place and serviceable. Fuel is on, which is used to be down between the legs. I haven't been able to quite find the fuel in this model, but it's definitely on. So, master switch on. Circuit breakers in. Yes, 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 yes. Cabin air control set to closed. Yeah, closed. Flaps up. So we take a look out of the window and we watch as the flaps go up. Yep. And check the indicator. That is fine. Mixture is rich. Mixture is fully rich. Throttle nut is loose. Carb heat set to cold. This is there. So that's in. So that's right. The controls, full and free movement, and in the right direction. It's a bit difficult to see from here. In fact, what we could do, you know. Let's check that. Yep, that's all fine. Beacon is on. Yep, strobe is on. Key is in, max still off. Yep. Primer's required and lock, so prime twice I think will do. That's the primer. 1, 2. Brakes, check the brakes are on. Yes, the brakes are on. Instruments are all okay. Radio is off. Now, I've not actually been able to work out how to turn the radios off without turning everything off, which is slightly frustrating. Something weird about that switch. Anyway, it'll just have to be what it is. Okay, look out and shout. Clear prop. So let's just open the window and shout. Clear prop. And then we're going to turn the ignition on and start. Instruments normal. Temperature's coming up. Pressure has come up. Set the RPM to 1200, which it is. Check for positive charge on the ammeter. It's just about positive. I mean, that's stretching it, to be honest. Suction's available. Saw that. There we go. Yeah, we've got suction. Radio's on and tuned to the correct frequency, so in true vacuum style that will be 122.8, which it is. Okay, so we're going to check the max now, so we'll go for right. Instrument set is required, so altimeter is 1013, which rather helpfully is in American style on this aircraft, not British style, but never mind. And that's the end of the pre-flight. So what we'll now do is we will taxi out and do the pre-flight checks. She can tell you one thing, that doesn't look right, the DI doesn't look right. Let's just check that against the compass. So the compass is saying 190, 205. The DI is saying something else. So we'll just bring that to make it correct. I remember one infamous flight in the Midlands where I had a very embarrassing conversation with a radar controller and RS, Cotters and all, about the fact that I thought I was going in a straight line and they told me I was going around in circles, and that was simply because I'd failed to check my DI whilst on the cross country. It's a lesson never forgotten. So, brakes off. Slow down as we get onto the tarmac. First thing we do is we face into wind. Brake on. Got the brake on. Okay. Now we've tested the brakes, the rudders and the instruments. So let's just check T's and P's are in the green. Yep. If I pull out the carb heat, I should see, so if I put it to 12 rooms actually. Yeah, this light clock there, look. Okay. Set the RPM to 1700. Yeah. Right, magneto check. Yep, That's acceptable. Sections between 3 and 6. See this? I mean, this is not working very well. T's and P's are steady in the green arc. Yes. And then we drop to idle. That should be between 5 and 700 when it gets there. 700? Yep. So that is got us as far as the threshold. What we will now do, I think, is fly a circuit. We will be flying a standard left-hand circuit off the main runway to 0. Turn onto the downwind leg as we cross the copse and trees. And we will turn base over that pond that you can see in the distance there. For a right hand circuit, you use the quarry as the reference point. Turn to the base leg over the pond. turning final at 500 feet. Now, the playback feature of X-Plane is entirely working on this aeroplane, so the flaps going down indicator doesn't seem to be working, but the flaps do go down for the landing. After a not too shabby landing, taxi back to parking and pop into the flying club for a cup of tea. When we weren't pounding the circuit or doing ground school to dodge the rain, we used to spend a lot of time in the Western training area. This was rather unimaginatively named because it was northwest of the airfield. Its most notable feature was the Humber Bridge, which crosses from the North Lincolnshire side, the Humber estuary, to the East Yorkshire side. Of course, in those days it was all Humberside, but things have changed a lot in the last 40 years. Humber Bridge is an impressive feat of modern civil engineering. In its day, it was the longest single-span suspension bridge, I think, in the world, and I can remember visiting it with my dad when I was a kid to look at the building site as they were constructing it. It seems like a fixture now, but in those days it was quite a novelty. One of the design problems they had to resolve with the bridge was the strength of the wind whipping down the Humber, and the bridge sections have an aerodynamic cross section to prevent them from rocking in the wind. It makes for an interesting driving experience when it's very windy though. So that's it, the end of my walk down memory lane. I shall leave the flight just as he took down to drop into a long final for a landing on 2-0. Thank you for watching. As always, if you found this content entertaining, interesting or educational, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you very much.